Hi, Nili. Thank you so much for taking your time to chat with me. I'm going to start at the beginning. How would you describe your sound?
Oh, I don't know. I've written in all kinds of genres, but I wouldn't say it's all over the place necessarily either. So, I say globally, I guess, instrumental rock.
Well, who are some of your musical influences then?
I mean, I have many, I have lots of influences from across the gamut of styles and uh, etc. But as far as guitar players go, I'll just name a few, I guess. I grew up on Nuno Bettencourt and Andy Timmons and Greg Howe and Guthrie Govan and Steve Lukather and Van Halen, obviously, and Dan Huff and Jeff Beck and Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, there's just so many, there's so many great players.
You said you name a few, Nili.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
I know I hate to
okay.
leave anybody out,
No, of course.
I've had a lot of influences.
Well, you have, a lot of people who've inspired you, and clearly they've had an influence on the incredible music you make. So you didn't want to leave anyone behind. It's perfectly understandable.
Yeah.
You have two songs out at the moment. Um, were you looking to release an EP or an album, or are you focused right now on solely just releasing singles for the moment?
So these two new songs will, I guess, eventually be part of a fourth album that will be out at some point. And part of my reasoning as releasing them as singles is just to get them out to the listeners a little bit quicker because albums always take me at least longer than I want them to. And I hate making people wait. And I felt strongly about these two songs and I wanted to get them out there as soon as possible, which was still not that quick, by the way, but it still would have been a lot longer.
We're
So
working still in a post-pandemic. It's fine. We understand.
I appreciate that.
What was it about these two songs, maybe in particular, that really wanted you to get them out so quickly? Was it the beats? Was it something that inspired you, or a message, maybe a through line you have for them?
I mean, I think I always want to get it out there quickly, but or not quickly, but as soon as it's ready to go, I guess I should say. It's one of those things that just takes longer anyway because it has tends to have so many moving pieces. But I do feel really strongly about the melody in both of these tunes and the way that they seem to follow one another, or Lavender Mountains following Song for Hope, and I felt like that should be out there and getting stuck in people's heads, hopefully, sooner rather than later.
Have fans been reaching out to you to say they have a preference or they really just embrace both of these tracks?
I feel like it's been a great reaction for both. I've definitely heard some people say that Lavender Mountains got stuck in their heads, and that's always the best thing that you could say to me. So even if I mean, there's a few people who've said it, but even if it's just one, I'm like, okay, great, I did my job. You know what I mean? Because that's how you want to stay in people's minds. But yeah, the reaction's really been great so far. I'm grateful.
I will tell you, Lavender Mountain tends to be my personal favorite. Do you have a favorite then?
Out of the two, I mean, yeah, I guess I'm partial to Lavender Mountains as well.
I know they're both your babies, but is there a particular reason that Lavender Mountain holds a special place in your heart? Is it your performance on it? Is the way the sound came out in the end really what you had imagined it to be?
Kind of, yeah, it's kind of the latter, I would say, and that's rare, to even feel like you're getting close with that. So yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
When it comes to your music, do you need to have a beat before you create the guitar, fully immerse yourself in the guitar? um, and how you're going to flesh it out for the song? Or do you come up with like a guitar piece and then you're like, okay, let's find a particular beat where it would flow nicely?
It depends. I mean, usually I more often than not tend to write by hearing melodies in my head and stuff like that. And so when I get an idea, a lot of times I'll kind of hear some of the rest of the picture, whether that's what groove is supposed to go along with it or some arrangement ideas or something like that. So I kind of try to take notes on as many things as I hear in the full picture. And then I have a lot of players that come in and play on this stuff, and so they give it the treatment that they know how to give it. A drummer knows how to take my groove idea and turn it into what it's supposed to be, in a way that I don't, because that's what they do. So it's just about communicating those ideas to the musicians that end up contributing.
Along those lines, then, how much of a say do you have when it comes, or how much even of a hand do you have when it comes to the production side of the music you make?
I mean, I have 100% say. I'll say that. It's my. I mean, it's my music with my name on it. Like you said, my baby and stuff. And so there's no one else to really like make those final decisions. It would be kind of weird if somebody else did.
Well, I mean, there are engineers and
No,
things
weird.
that are
No, of
involved,
course. No, I get
certainly,
you. No,
but
of
I
course.
just
People. That's listen. That's not to say that people don't contribute and that I don't love
certainly.
people's input and all that kind of stuff. It's just I'm not owned by anybody, and when I'm working on somebody else's music, it's their thing, and so
Sure,
I
of
don't want to
course.
bring and then like when it's my thing, and yeah, I
Or
get
it's
stumped
fully
sometimes.
your thing. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, again, like people bring in their own ideas, and a lot of times I like what happens, and they stay. Again, that's why they turn it into a lot of what it is. But
Well, we touched on whether or not there'll be an album or an EP coming, and I know you have some solo touring coming up. Where are some of your favorite places to perform?
I mean, there've been many. Um, as far as my band is concerned, at least, we love to play at the Baked Potato in LA, which is kind of like a LA's answer to the New York jazz club type of Village Vanguard situation. Even though it's not like, I mean, there are some jazz acts, but it's kind of like the fusion legends kind of home in LA, and it's got a lot of history and stuff. And it's one of these dingy little rooms that has a 2 drink minimum, and you don't think would ever sound good, but it sounds really amazing. And it's just kind of our hometown. My band still lives in LA and stuff, and so it for us that's our kind of home hang.
What are some of your favorite Nili Brosh songs to continue to perform live?
uh, Man, it doesn't take very long to feel like you've played them all a bunch and you don't really want to continue. So I can only imagine, bands that have had to play the same song for 40, 50 years and definitely don't want to hear it anymore. But I'll say, let's see. Primal Fields is always fun. Adaptable Creatures is always fun. Solace. I mean, it's fun to play.
Who would you love to collaborate with then on a song in the future?
Oh man, there's so many. But somebody asked me this, well, a similar question yesterday. Less about the writing, but I guess more of the performance or collaboration in that sense. And I said I'd come up with two that are very far from each other in genres, seemingly, and just both popped into my head for random reasons. But it was Devin Townsend and Cher. So both, yeah.
It's just really vast. You said vast, but we weren't expecting that vast.
Yeah, I don't know why those were like the two that jumped in there for some reason. I was like, oh, those are good too, though.
Yeah, I mean, share some great songs. I mean, both of them have incredible songs. So,
Yeah.
lending your talents to either would be incredible. And I'm sure they would be just as blessed to have you on their songs.
Oh, you never know. Thank you for thinking that.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the beautiful music you make?
Just thank you. Thank you for listening and for supporting and being out there with the stuff that I'm doing. And I hope you continue to support. I super appreciate it. It keeps me going.